Hi, I'm Natalia,
And I'm Leslie Marie,
and this is a We Are Fashionably Late podcast,
where we talk about the clothing we wear and the untold but very true stories about why we wear what we wear.
Alrighty. You see, I was gonna try to do the.
I think
But I
like
didn't.
the high notes.
Yeah, because you know.
I mean, Allie always sings. She's that little sibling, typical that will sing
And-
anything.
and
But now that this is a musical, she's
I can't outshine people.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta keep this just in here,
just to yourself.
I don't want to give it to you guys.
I think it's so funny. We're very different in that sense.
Yeah.
I do not like musicals, but and Natalie is converting me.
I've converted her because we watched
The Greatest Showman.
The Greatest Showman, and then I told her, I was like, I want to see Wicked. You know, we saw Gladiator. We both want to see Gladiator too. But then I was like, we need to go see Wicked, and I think I convinced her.
And she's convincing me. That's why we did this whole episode.
Away.
You sounded like that George of the Jungle scream. That did not sound like what you thought it was gonna sound like. You thought it was gonna sound like Wicked, put me on Broadway. No, not at all. I think that's also another reason why I hate musicals, because it's like a musical in my house every day. All right.
Our next segment.
Well, first off,
Oh.
let's start off with what we're wearing, Natalie, since you brought that up.
I am wearing my mom's cardigan, green cardigan. It has a little collar.
R.I.P. Queen.
Little collar.
Yeah.
Very extravagant color.
Love it.
It's a button down. I'm wearing the Aloe goddess rib go-to tank in white.
Mhm.
Underneath that, I'm wearing my bra, just so you know. And then I'm wearing some Zara pants. And then I don't have my golas. These are.
She copied me,
shoes.
y'all. Look at her. She's copying me.
No,
They look
technically,
exactly like these. Look.
technically, you copied me.
No.
I got these last year for Thanksgiving.
No.
These were my little gift.
Your
to
foot is
myself.
big.
My foot is big. And what, bitch? And what?
Saw that. Sorry. Okay.
What?
I'm wearing this Reformation cardigan that I wear all the time. I'm wearing this. This is vintage, y'all. Wet seal. Little like lace, like. Is it like a spaghetti strap? Yeah, spaghetti strap. It looks like something you'd wear to sleep, but like I'm trying to make it look cute, you know?
How risky.
Um,
Something Sabrina Carpenter would wear for
No
her
bra.
sport, short and
Risky.
sweet.
Yeah, that's what I'm giving. It's just I don't know. I feel a little bit insecure. Like this is a little. I'm sorry. Like
Am I the wicked witch of the West,
feel
or is it
insecure.
Leslie?
okay. Anyways.
She's
Also,
on her
I thought I was gonna be Elphaba, and Nally's like,
It
no, you're
only
Glinda.
makes sense
of my hair.
because of her hair.
Yeah, I know.
And then no, this is funny because we had first said, you know, I was gonna wear pink and then she
Because
was
I'm
gonna
popular.
wear green. And then shut up. And then I told her, I was like, okay, I saw this TikTok audio that people were doing, and I was like, okay, Leslie, it only makes sense if I am Elphaba and you are Linda.
Nally just wants to be. the main
Because I
character.
said I have dark hair and you have blonde
No,
hair.
it makes sense. It makes sense. Makes sense.
And then when we were gonna film it, this girl walks out with green. I'm looking at her
I
as
forgot.
I'm wearing this, and I was like, "Why are you wearing green?" She goes, "You're supposed to wear pink." And I go, "We agreed."
We agree.
And she said, "Oh," and then she's like, "Let me go
Don't
change."
make me laugh. Como la hace? Sorry. Alright. Yeah. And you want me to watch Wicked. If you guys know the audio. When they sing popular,
Oh,
cut the show.
I'm sorry. My dreams were when you said no, and so I was like, okay.
When I said no to what?
to watching it. You know?
I said yes.
no the first time you said.
Oh, the first time. Yeah. But then I came around to it because it's Glicked Week. That sounds weird.
Clicked?
Yeah, because Gladiator, Wicked.
No, they changed the
Glicked.
name.
Oh, it sounds a little bit risque to me. Anyways.
Validator.
Okay. Both of those names are not
No.
accurate.
Actually, I don't know.
Let's go into our next segment.
I'm just a girl.
If we ever get copyrighted, I'm sorry, Gwen.
No, what if she comes on and she goes, you know,
Manifesting. Gwen,
and she's like,
come on our
"Don't worry, guys,
podcast."
we're gonna do the."
Yeah. Take it away, Gwen. And then she just pops out.
Maybe I should just put her face on me as I'm singing it.
I feel like we'll get copyrighted.
Why?
I don't know.
She put out for the whole world to hear.
For all the girls.
But I'm just a girl.
Okay. Well, it's our Yap Hour session. Let's bring it to... We just watched Gladiator a few days ago.
Jokes.
Guys,
Paul Mescal.
better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of comments, a lot of things, of people being like, how could he cheat on his wife? It destroys everything that the first
movie.
Gladiator... Babes, if you didn't understand the first Gladiator, there was so much underline to it of like, they loved each other, and technically Lucius is older than his younger son, meaning they had the child together. He couldn't marry her because she was betrothed to another, and so he had to let that his first love go to then go start his family. Guys, so I don't understand when people are like this, that, like, yeah. Anyways, that movie was beautiful. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Tears were shed.
Tears were shed more than I thought tears were going to be shed.
There's laughs.
There was laughs.
There was this one thing that they did.
It was gory.
It was gory.
In a
There
good
was
way.
this funny because there's one thing that I forgot what part of the movie it is without spoiling, and it like they made a joke, and me and Leslie and this girl on the other side of the theater laughed, and then this guy goes shh, and I go, you shut up, because I was like, I'm sorry, did we not get the context of this joke? Like,
this is another thing. This might be controversial. I understand that movies like this have to be seen in the movie theater. I understand that context because you need to have like the sound system, you need to have the film, you need to have this, that.
darkness.
But can we also talk about the fact that less and less, because people are making it feel like awkward, like I don't know what it is, but like you can't enjoy it. Like I feel bad laughing at a joke that they're making because people are gonna shush me.
Like, did we
I feel bad like clapping at the end of the movie because people are just like, give me the dirty eye. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm like I think like people who go to the movie theaters now aren't like,
my thing is, like, did we forget when we would go watch the Avengers movies?
Yeah,
We
we would
watched
laugh.
all the new ones, especially the last one.
Yeah.
And then when we watched the last one that was
yeah,
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
everyone's reaction.
Yeah, and I think that also has a lot to do with like the people
Sorry,
that
I
go
didn't mean to yell.
see it.
Yeah.
if
Also, you're
they're
like
fans,
invested to it. You're a fan. You're the one that's like falling in love with the characters.
It
from
makes
the
you feel
first
guilty
movie.
for enjoying it. So I understand that movies like that have to be seen in the movie theater, but I prefer in a way to watch them
People,
at
like,
home in the safety and comfort of like, if I want to laugh at something Denzel
Why are you
Washington said,
laughing?
I could laugh, and people aren't gonna shush me.
I was like, girl.
And I'm like, okay.
I said, let the queen laugh. Let her laugh. Let her cackle.
Yeah. Also, like, I don't know, like, even like if like there's like a part, like, I don't know, like you just feel like you can't interact with the movie as the same, if that makes any sense.
If I interact,
Anyways,
I mean,
is that just
pause
me?
it so I can go pee because it
That
was
too.
2 hours and 20, and I was like, I need to think logically. Should I drink my whole icy right now?
Should I just not?
Or should I
At the
not?
end of the movie.
And then by the end, it's just gonna be all watery.
Yeah.
So I was
also
like,
another thing. Yeah.
Also,
Either
I
way,
was
great
eating
movie.
popcorn, and I didn't want to say it, but I was like holding it in a popcorn corn.
Yeah, also that, I
and I
can't
was like,
cough.
and I was like, and I was
You're
like,
like,
I decided to take it in. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
So, yeah, so those are kind of the things. Besides that, though, great film.
Great film.
Also, another thing, too, like, I don't want my laughter to, like, make somebody feel like, oh, it was the worst movie experience because this person laughed. Like, I'm sorry. Anyways.
I felt like in the.
I did. I
thing.
feel connected to the characters. Like, I feel like I have to vocalize and be like, yo, this is great.
Anyways.
Anyways, it wasn't just me. There was other people who were also doing it, and they were getting shushed as well by that one person. So, anyways, what is next on our Girl Yapping Hour?
This one's a little bit more of a sadder note, but it is something that's related to fashion. Is related to, as we know, like costume design. A good, well-known series, Peaky Blinders.
Which are making the movie.
They're making the movie. Their costume designer.
She passed away.
She passed away.
And they put a thing out.
A statement
there.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sad because it's like, this is a person
I
that
want
was
to read it.
that was with them since the beginning of the series, that really like
created
the looks, and those are the looks that right now, like, if you think about it, sometimes we recreate when it comes to like recreating Peaky Blinders or like anything, like us trying to mimic her design of the characters. And we
for like Halloween.
For Halloween. For X, Y, and Z. And also this is like the outfits, the looks that we will see and we'll be like, okay, this is a very Thomas Shelby thing, or this is a very much of the Aunt thing, or whatever. Like, and so to see that her legacy still will carry on with Peaky Blinders in the film, and that for those in the fashion costume design world will be, our heart is heartbroken just because of such a great talent, you know?
Yeah. They wrote like the statement on here, and her name was Stephanie Colley, and it says incredible work in our first series, was the key creator to the iconic look for the Peaky Blinders. And she has inspired so many around the world, which she has with that look. So it's sad in the costume design world. And then, I don't know, it's also nice to know that like her legacy lives on. If you haven't seen Peaky Blinders, if you're not a fan of Peaky Blinders, I encourage you to go watch it for the costumes alone. But yeah,
very historically well thought out for.
Yeah. And also like I like the hat, like there's like a lot of like details that like have to do with the series. I'm not gonna spoil it
if you haven't watched
it,
but you know.
But yeah, that's pretty much
those
all
are
for our Yap Hour.
Oh, Paul is gonna be in SNL. We forgot to mention
Paul Mescal.
I don't know. She was like, we should say that Paul's gonna be in SNL. And I said, he's gonna be in SNL.
I'm
sad.
This is the thing. I feel like for anyone who's seen him since Normal People, like you've been a fan of his, and there's people who are now discovering him because of Gladiator. All I'm gonna say is yes, he did do amazing acting since the beginning.
Yeah.
So we've been knowing. So I'm excited to see how he does comedy, because I feel like he usually does drama.
You know what would be when worlds collide? When I see him and Niall Horan together. My two Irishmen.
Also, Peaky Blinders, Cillian Murphy. Crazy. Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe, you know, I think, do we have any listeners in Ireland? I don't know. We gotta check.
We gotta check that out.
Yeah.
If we do.
This is for you.
This is for you. Paul Mescal's for you. I'm just kidding. Anyways, that is the end of our I'm Just a Girl. Oh, you sing it with me.
Yeah, because it's a musical, so. All right, let's start with the first topic.
Because I wasn't prepared. Go on.
I feel like you're also singing High School Musical now when she says, try. Nellie's singing all the musicals today. Okay.
That was my first musical.
Let's go back.
Get your head in the game. Get your head in the game.
Yeah. All right. Let's get our head back in the game. So, in order to talk about Wicked, I feel like Wicked, we're going to talk about it, right? About its presence in Broadway, about how now the movie... The milk. I don't know why I said milk. The film. Yeah, I was trying to do two at the same time. But we also have to talk about the OG, what kind of started it all, what kind of inspired it all.
What's the story?
What's the sitch? The Wizard of Oz, right? So why is the Wonderful Wizard of Oz iconic? And this is a 1939 film, right? So first thing, there's a lot of universal themes like searching for home, self-discovery, courage, friendships, and all of these things that kind of resonate with audiences throughout time, I feel. And it could be from a young age, from an older age, from a, you know, you have nostalgia if you grew up watching films like that. The second is, I think Dorothy's character is timeless. Also, all the other characters, right? Like the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion and the Tin Man. And
which there's a lot of Easter eggs in the Wicked film.
About that. Which also, I'm kind of curious, are they going to make their own Wizard of Oz to kind of fit into the Wicked? Because there's another thing too. The timelines are kind of, it's like the first half of Wicked, then it's the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, and then it's the second half of Wicked. So that's kind of how things are happening in between.
No, I think it's the first one, and then the second one of Wicked is then connecting to the Wizard
something
of
like
Oz.
that. Yeah. So it's like it's kind of put together. It's like happening at the same time. It's weird.
It's like I think like in the middle of the second film of Wicked, from what I've heard, that's when it starts connecting to
the
Wizard of Oz, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
The story of.
of like both of them,
Mhm.
connecting them.
Yeah.
Which I think that's also like very kind of cool.
Mhm.
That it's happening at the same time. And so another thing too, I think during the film in the
Mhm.
1930s, it was a very like major movie
Yeah.
for the for not only like Judy but also for like everyone a part of it.
Yes.
There was a lot of things that happened behind the scenes that are kind of a little bit
Dark.
scary and dark, and I'm sure you can go down a rabbit hole for that.
Go on TikTok.
Go on TikTok.
You'll find it.
And it's kind of crazy. There was a lot of things with the props. There was a lot of things with the settings. There was also a lot of things with like
Background.
the actors.
The actors and the background actors.
And the
as well.
background
Mhm.
actors. And so, and it wasn't just like a drama thing. It was like real health and safety issues.
Yes.
Because of the time, you know, they didn't really have
Mhm.
regulations like we do now in films,
Film.
you know?
Yeah.
So there's also that. I think there was a lot of like lore that came with that
Yes.
film,
Mhm.
and that's kind of like made its way through that we kind of still talk about.
Mhm.
There's also a lot of symbolism in the film, which had to do with like the political and economic times and even social issues during that time. And so these characters kind of show bits of that.
Yeah.
Which again, it's more of like a history lesson if you want to go back to that time
Without
period.
it being like
Yeah,
driven
like in
into
your
it.
face.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I think
The underlining.
the
Mhm.
underlining of it, everything kind of affected it. Also, it was a very like world building, very like imaginative.
Yeah.
It was very new in the sense of like the colors
Mhm.
and like all of these things.
It's good. It's like kind of like, if you think about it, like it's like your own like world. Like you
Yeah.
created your own world. Like
Yeah.
as a kid, you know, like a kid, you think of things
Candyland
different,
or
Candyland,
things like that. Yeah.
So I feel like the story couldn't have been written well for that period of time
Mhm.
with what was going on, like economically, politically, and all that stuff. Especially for adults, like to go back into that like kid mindset.
Yeah.
And you know, even though you know the Wonderful Wizard of Oz was probably projected more for kids, but if the adults watched it, they would like get a lot of like the underlining of what the story was trying to
Yeah,
like,
because
get to.
it shows you with even like her leaving Kansas, you
Yes.
see what like kind of a typical life was like in that
Mhm.
time in America.
Yeah.
Versus like this wonderful land that was like mystical
Mystical,
and
mhm.
colorful and bright and like all of these
Yeah.
things that kind of resonated
You
with
got
it.
like a lot of skills with it. Like her character learned a lot of skills and whatnot.
Yeah, like a lot of
like the courage, like stuff that
Yeah.
you always want to teach your kids to do and stuff like that. So I feel
Yeah.
like, yes, it was for the kids, but it was also for the adults during that time.
It was also for the adults. So those are really why it's been very memorable, and
Mhm.
not only during that time, but how it's kind of transcended through time. So with its legacy, right,
Mhm.
beyond like the original book and film, it's been adapted into stage plays. It's been adapted on Broadway, and it's been kind of how you were saying. It's kept like moral lessons
Mhm.
throughout time.
Yeah.
But it's also inspired new things
Mhm.
like Wicked.
Yes, because I feel like if people who didn't know the connection between the two, they
Yeah.
would think it's two separate things. But for those that are fans of the Broadway like
Wicked.
musical theater thing, Wicked, and those that love Dorothy and the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, if you didn't know, those were connected. So I feel like in the Broadway spect, for that such a big, huge number that is well known, that we've seen a lot of well-known actors play those characters in the Broadway, come into a movie screen. Well, now everyone,
And how that Broadway show lasted for so
So
many
long.
years, and it's still kind of ongoing with different characters. Well, with different actors. Sorry. But yeah, so I think now that brings us into the next topic. Natalie, do you want to take it away with Wicked
Wicked
on Broadway?
and the costume.
Yeah.
So, the movie adaptation of the Broadway that we just talked about, of Wicked, now being on the film.
You can come this way. Sorry.
Sorry.
I feel like you're like
I'm
so far
just
away.
because I want air.
I know.
Just kidding.
It's hot in here.
So the background of Wicked, it's musical that first premiered in 2003, but is based on the 1995 novel of Wicked, the Life and the Times of the Wicked Witch of the West. Again,
more backstory
on the witches. Who are they? Why'd they become who they are? Because they are pivotal characters from the 1939 version of the wonderful
Wizard of Oz.
They are pivotal, but you want to know a little bit of their story because we know that they were friends, they were sisters. Why?
But why? What happened?
What
was
happened?
the drama?
What
What's
happened?
the tea?
What's the tea? You know? And so in this novel, now turned into Broadway, now turned into a film, we get more into depth into the characters and you're understanding them.
And highlighting them.
So this particular novel was written by Gregory Maguire. The novel itself, it's a reimagining of the land of Oz and tells the story of Elphaba. And the future, which is the future Wicked Witch of the West, and her complex relationship with Glinda, the Good Witch. Glinda.
Yeah.
The Good Witch that we know. You know, and as well, we know too.
Yeah.
What's that? What's the tea, sis?
What's the tea?
So the musical explores the untold story, the backstory of these characters.
Which is what our podcast is about.
It's focusing, again, on the themes of friendship, on identity, and the nature of good and evil. It's like a different perspective of these characters that we've known from an old film.
I think it also like makes them the main characters, which is also a nice way to see them versus them kind of being side characters to Dorothy.
Also, as we all know, what makes a villain a villain?
Yeah.
We have Loki, who is someone who's also a green.
Also, can we talk about that? I think when it comes to villains, like I could also think of She-Go from Kim Possible. The green color, I feel like, is very much a villain. Like color kind of vibe.
But again, what is their backstory? Why did they become
the villain?
Why they categorize them as a villain? Which in the film Wicked Part 1, Part 2, and in the Broadway we get
kind of that story.
So now to the
costume,
the production. This movie in particular had been in development for many years for them to get the whole setting right, get the actors, the writing, just in general the whole thing. In general, when it's a Broadway, there's already so much work. But this is the thing, they don't have breaks or pauses. They go in a full long run. They have the intermission type of thing, but it's like, it's live. If anything goes wrong, in the moment they have to kind of go with it.
I think that's why I think Broadway, it really should get more credit than it does, because it's almost like it's all shot in one
take.
But there's another thing too, you have to captivate the audience in a different way, because I feel like with film you can get close-ups, you obviously, how Natalie says, you have breaks in between, like it's like you call cut, whatever, right? You can do the scene multiple times. Here you get one shot, and it has to relate not only to the person who's in the front row, but to the person who's all the way at the back. And they have to feel the emotion. They have to hear like everything, you know?
Because you don't got a big screen on the TV. You have these characters far away that you have to like
feel it.
And also it's this thing where it's like, imagine for the actors, like if they get sick, if they get hurt, they need to like,
the show keeps going.
Also, like, they have probably understudies, but you probably think like, all this hard work for me to one show and then that's it. Like, no, you know, like they dedicate so much of their time and like life into this particular Broadway
and it's
musical.
It's a thing where it's not just like, you know, a movie or a show or something can get filmed over weeks or months, right? This is similar, but this is like the same show every single night. So you're talking 2.5 hours, 2 hours, whatever the show length may be, but it's every single night. And so it's exciting, and it's also could be daunting, but it's just very, I think, inspiring too.
And so now the film, which again there was many years of it. Universal Pictures was the one that picked it up, this musical, but it had so many like delays in the movie that we've heard when they were making it, the amount of delays that there was, you know, in production,
and even in casting.
So the director of Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights, also I love Crazy Rich Asians. I cry in that movie. I don't know why, but it's such a good one. It's such a good one. I watched In the Heights too, really good.
Also a musical
turned into a film. So the director John M. Chu is
The director.
the director of Wicked.
Part 1 and Part 2.
Part 2.
Uh-huh.
He has a involvement with fans.
Yeah.
So he has a strong like track record of musicals and the visual like of the stunning films, but he wants to get with the fans. Like this is for the fans.
To make it authentic.
To make it
for them.
authentic, for them to love it, to them not only to see it if they saw it in the Broadway show, but now like in the theater.
Yeah.
Like being displayed in a film in the theater is such a big thing for a lot of people. So it's like he wants to bring those characters to life, but stick to the original script, to stick to the original storyline that we know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so now we know that the movie is going to be split into 2 just because there's so much story to go through.
Story to go through, yeah.
Like, and even in the Broadway show, it's so long that you would assume that they would do the same thing with the movie just because, one, they want to
Get it right.
get into the characters and get it right.
Yeah.
So the filming of this began in late 2022 and continued to 2023.
Yeah.
It being shot in England. You know, we had some different
Part
things.
1, Obvi, being released last weekend.
Yes.
Yeah. On Thursday.
On
so
Thursday.
it's
Same
the
day
day
as Gladiator.
22nd.
So I said this is a new Barbenheimer,
Yeah.
but it's not.
And then there's been, I don't know if it's rumors, but potentially the date for Part 2 is going to be the same time around November 26th for 2025. We don't know if it's exactly November 26th or if it's around like in November.
Yeah.
Because things could change, obviously. But they do have plans for next year to release Part 2. They filmed,
They already
they
filmed
filmed
it.
both of them back to back.
It's just
And then it's
getting
just getting it released.
Now, this costume designer, Miss Susan Helferty, I hope I didn't butcher the last name. She is well known for both being the costume designer for Wicked in the Broadway production and now in the film adaptation. So she created the iconic looks that brought to life the world of Oz to the Broadway show and now into the film. In particular, she was the one that really helped bring the green skin protagonist Elphaba to life, especially because it's like, it's makeup, how are we gonna do it? Also, like, she was really focused into making it like not so cliche, like more of a like really like stand out, especially with her counterpart like person, which is Glenda, the pink and the green. And the pink and the green also, also
I think it's crazy because
we also chose the pink and the green, but it wasn't because of
this.
Wicked, just because these are our favorite colors. So it was, it's like really, I was like,
it's kind of full circle.
When worlds collide.
And then she won a Tony Award in 2004 for Best Costume Design, which is huge.
Yes.
And then, so now with the film adaptation, she kind of handed the reins over to Paul Tazewell. So she still obviously kept her influences and things like that, but the person like at the head of it was Paul. And he's known for his work in Hamilton and West Side Story, also The Wiz Live. And so he kind of reimagined the costumes in order for it to have a good cinematic experience, because this is another thing too, for costumes it's very different when you're on Broadway, again because you have a huge audience that's live and you wanted to captivate the audience, versus it being different on screen because colors can be different like you have to do a screen test to make sure that the colors look good, they reflect well on the screen
and on the people playing it as well. I saw a clip on TikTok that especially for Cynthia, who plays Elphaba, for their color, this color that they used on her skin is actually a color that got discontinued, but they were so focused on making sure that the color like really like tied into her own skin color, you know, that it didn't look off or like weird. So even that, like the thought of detail.
Also because if you think about it, in the 1939 film there was issues about that because it was like obviously like the paint that they used at that time was flammable, and when they would have to do flammable things in the set, like even I think the actress at that time got her eyebrows like fully like burnt off because of it. So they also want to keep that in mind of like the health of the actor.
The actors, and like I think like just they consider everything, in, you know, especially like the color that Cynthia is wearing for Elphaba the green is very much different than the one in Broadway,
Yeah.
but it has to do with the same thing. You have such crowd from the front row to the way to the back, and you want them to know, you know, the difference between the characters.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when it's more of like a film, you want it to look more realistic because there's more close-ups, there's more, you know, like there's more things, there's different things that they kind of look for when they're creating the costume.
Yeah.
So that was that's who was in charge of this. The costume designer for the 1939 film was Gilbert Adrian, who was the head of costume at MGM at the time. So not only did he like work on that film, but there was other films that he worked on. But he crafted the iconic Dorothy look, which again is another iconic look. The gingham blue dress, the Cowardly Lion fursuit, which actually had real lion fur, which is crazy. And then the Tin Man metal armor, which again, that paint was kind of toxic at that time. But I don't know if they didn't know or if that's all they had. And then the Scarecrow's patchwork outfit, which again, these are things that are like memorable costumes that like somebody had to design them. Somebody had to like create that kind of
draw them out and then bring them to life. Because I feel like, especially from two people who are artists and fashion designers, it's really hard to, from pen and paper, bring it to life. To basically what your thought of a certain garment being brought to life is so hard, because you want to make sure you get all those ideas into it. You know?
Also, like, what materials are you working with? Also, you have to keep in mind, like, how is it gonna show on screen or to the audience, and then how do you not make it look tacky? Like, you genuinely want it to look the best. And so there's so many factors that go into it, and there's a full team. Like, just because they're the head designer doesn't mean they do everything. There's people who are sewing all day, there's people who are creating the costumes, stylists who help put it on the actors,
make sure it's placed right, you know,
with the accessories
and stuff like that.
Also,
his work still continues on from now in
legacy.
But it is,
I feel like also these memorable looks, right? You've seen them on people like Harry Styles, like
Halloween.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you also see them as costumes, like for Halloween. They're very iconic, very memorable, and they've been redone over and over, which I think just shows that like your work kind of transcends time and it's relevant. Which I think is special.
I could only imagine if they were to do a live action, or not live action, but like bring it to life again for this time period, how the dress and the outfits would look for now.
I think that's also another thing, like with the success of Wicked, are they going to do that? Are they going to make their own version of the Wizard of Oz, which I think would be great, and I think would also make the stories all tie in together more, you know, because you have the same characters playing the other characters. Which, if you understand the timeline, I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
But watch TikTok.
But you could do your own
TikTok
research.
can spoil it for you, but
I will not.
I will not.
All right. So, now the way to close it off, right? Memorable outfits that we're looking forward to, right? I'm looking forward to Elphaba's university uniform outfit. I feel like that was an iconic one on Broadway. It's an iconic one on the screen. In part 1, you get to see them in school, so I think that's also very cool. That's when she's like, you know, not popular yet.
Which I love that. Like, also, can we talk about how technically both Ariana Grande and Cynthia both sang those live?
Oh, they sang
those were not recording. Like, it was all live. Like,
which again, it just shows like you really have to have that vocal
also
range.
invested into the film,
and it shows on the screen. It shows, like, that's why I think it's a success, because it's like people are actually excited. It's kind of like if you couldn't go see the Broadway show, and it's like they're bringing Broadway to you, and it's genuinely sung live. Like, you get that same feeling that you would get if you went to Broadway. Another one too that I'm actually excited for, like the costume, is the Defying Gravity costume. I just think of Winston when he's singing the Defying Gravity from
he's
New
like
Girl.
singing popular
Lar.
I'm
so sorry, but
I'm watching it for him.
But those are two of the iconic ones that I'm really excited for Elphaba. to see her in, just to see how it's different to maybe how it was on Broadway or similar, like to get those kind of like Easter eggs.
I think for me it would be obviously the most iconic look that we all know is the bubble dress.
Yeah,
that is
from Glinda,
from both Broadway, from the film, the first ever film,
the bubble dress,
to now, and to how the style and the silhouette, everything incorporates to the trends now and how it, relates. The other one I just thought was so beautiful is the one that she's wearing with like the big ruffles and stuff like that. I think they're going to like a ball or something, or a gala for the school or stuff, which we see her wearing and like in her pink and all that stuff, which is really beautiful. Like the hand craftsmanship on that dress, amazing 10 out of 10, honestly.
Everyone who worked on that, guys, props to you. You did amazing.
Bow down.
And then another one too, I think I'm excited in the future, if they were to do Oz, to see what it would look like in the Emerald City.
Yes.
And like to see those iconic characters, because it's like, how do you take an iconic character that has transcended through time, not only make them still relevant, which I feel like they are, but how do you like make their costume? I feel like that's a big undertaking, right? Because you could either, I mean, you don't want to change it at all. No. But I feel like, how do you make it fresh and new and still have that aha moment type of vibe? So if they were to make those films, I think that film, how would they
connect to it? Because it's like the bubble dress that we know, the outfit that Elphaba wears when she officially claims the throne of the Wicked Witch of the West. In the first part. Like, these are iconic looks that we've seen transcend through the years to now. So it's like now, which hopefully they would
make it.
How would they make it to now?
To Dorothy, to this. How would you see them together?
How would you see them? Especially the red sparkly shoes.
I know. Also, another character too that we love is Fiyero. Right? There's a bit of a love triangle there. There's a bit of a will they, won't they. We're excited for that kind of vibe.
Also his like costume, like also like all the embroidery and like all that stuff.
It's a bit like military style for his, which again, I don't want to spoil it, but he's also another character down the line. So I don't know, like I think I want to see how they also tie that together. Which
from what I've heard, it's the second movie. It plays a lot of part of the characters that we know now become what we know from
in The Wizard of Oz. Yeah. So I mean, this was a pretty short one too, as well, because it's Thanksgiving weekend. So go enjoy time with your family.
I don't eat turkey. I don't like turkey.
Go watch these movies. Go talk about them.
No political.
No, but don't talk about.
You know what's our only political topic? Gladiator and the Wicked.
Your Roman Empire and Broadway. That's all we want to talk about at the dinner table. So
you
go watch these films before.
Bro, his sister was away.
That's the kind of fighting I want to see on the dinner table.
And his.
That's the kind of controversy I would tolerate at the dinner table.
We create that.
We should. Follow us on TikTok. Maybe you'll see Natalie screaming at me.
Bro, his sister
was the Wicked Witch of the West,
bro. No, bro.
Yeah, you would do that perfectly. It's giving younger sister vibe. Anyways, that's it for this week.
Love you.
Happy Thanksgiving for those who do celebrate. And see you next week.
Happy holidays.
Yeah. See you next week for a very special episode.
Hey, thank you guys so much for listening. Please don't forget to leave us a review and to share this podcast with your loved ones, acquaintances, and really just anybody and everybody who will listen.
We'll be releasing new episodes every Wednesday. Also, you can follow us on Instagram and on TikTok at We Are Fashionably Late with 2 E's at the end, and at The Digitals Podcast on YouTube for more behind the scenes content. Sending you lots of love and virtual hugs. Can't wait to see you in the next episode. Bye.